Elon Musk is a super billionaire considered to be the richest man on the planet. Having been the mastermind behind major companies like PayPal, Tesla, SpaceX, and many more, it's safe to say that Elon has a knack for entrepreneurship and making ridiculous amounts of money. But contrary to what you might expect, Elon didn't have the best start to life. He suffered from extreme bullying and an abusive household.
I was almost beaten to death, if you call that bullied.
At one point, he had over $100,000 in student debt, and he was so broke that he couldn't even afford an apartment.
I didn't have any money. In fact, I had negative money. I had huge student debts.
He suffered from many failed marriages throughout his life, and was on the verge of going bankrupt and losing it all in 2008, to now being the single individual who's most trusted with securing the future of humanity. Whether it be traveling to other planets, designing energy-efficient cars, or even bringing the first humanoid robots to life, Elon is the centerpiece of it all. And so without further ado, this is the story of Elon Musk. Pretoria, South Africa, 1970. This was the year a man named Elon Musk and a woman named May Haldeman got married. Soon after, they'd have 3 kids, named Kimball, Tosca, and Elon Musk, who was born on June 28, 1971. At a young age, Elon's mother began to notice very unusual things about him.
From the age of 3.
Really?
He just reasoned with me so well, and I didn't know how he could figure out things. I mean, he was 3.
Despite being only a few years old, Elon was already capable of using basic logic and reasoning, which isn't normal for young kids. After noticing that Elon might be a potential genius child in the making, his parents decided to enroll him into school a year early. As he began to spend more time with other kids, Elon very quickly realized that something was wrong with him.
I think when I was, 5 or 6 or something, I thought I was insane.
Why'd you think you were insane?
Because it was clear that other people their mind wasn't exploding with ideas all the time.
He started to figure out that other kids didn't think the same way that he did, and that their minds weren't constantly exploding with new ideas and creative insights.
It was just strange. It was like, I'm strange. That was my conclusion. I'm strange.
And so it was clear from this point that Elon had a hyper-curious mind that would surely lead him to be massively successful. But aside from that, on the outside, his life looked pretty normal. A quiet and peaceful family of 5, going about their days, living a simple and happy life. But underneath the surface, there was a troubling and dark reality that was slowly about to reveal itself.
It was very violent. It was not a happy childhood. My father has serious issues.
It turns out that Elon's father, Elon Musk, was very abusive and would regularly berate and even hit them. And to make matters worse, the abuse didn't stop there. Elon was also excessively bullied in school.
I was almost beaten to death, if you call that bullied.
However, despite these difficult circumstances, that didn't stop Elon from wanting to learn and create new things. Because at the young age of 10, Elon had developed a real curiosity for engineering, computers, and game development. But here's where Elon is different. Instead of simply coding and playing games for fun, Elon realized that if he could write better software and sell it, then he could use that money to buy better computers and better video games. So at the age of 12, Elon sold his first ever game called Blastar for $500, marking his first steps as an entrepreneur. Elon then went on to graduate high school in 1988 at the age of 17, to which he then decided to move to North America and pursue a dual degree in economics and physics at the University of Pennsylvania. He eventually graduated with a bachelor's degree in both at the age of 26. Now, while getting a dual degree in economics and physics is very impressive, Elon had over $100,000 in student debt, and he lacked any real sense of direction in life. Like most college graduates, Elon felt conflicted. Should he continue with his education and pursue a PhD? Should he look for a job, or perhaps something else?
When I was in college, I just thought, well, what are the things that are most likely to affect the future of humanity, just in, at a macro level? And it just seemed like it would be like the internet and sustainable energy, making life multiplanetary, and then genetics and AI.
After careful consideration as to what might be crucial for the future of humanity, Elon eventually settled on pursuing a PhD at Stanford University, but after only 2 days, he realized that he had made the wrong choice. So he dropped out and decided to pursue his dream of working on the internet. And of course, what better place to chase this dream than the infamous Silicon Valley? After making the move to the Valley, Elon's situation was precarious to say the least. So naturally, he decided that his best option was to look for tech jobs in order to make some money.
I tried to get a job at Netscape and sent my resume in and tried hanging out in the lobby, but I was too shy to talk to anyone. And then I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll have to start a company because I can't get a job anywhere.
Elon seemed to have figured out how big the internet would get before anyone else, and as such, he had great belief in his ability to take full advantage of this. And thanks to the coding experience he had from when he was younger, Elon was already fairly well prepared to tackle the task of creating his own internet software.
So we thought, well, the media industry would need help converting its content from a print media to electronic.
Elon correctly recognized that if the internet was going to be the next big thing, then media companies would eventually need to turn their physical content into digital content. And so, Elon and his brother Kimball created the company Zip2. However, as stated by Elon himself, he would have no idea how difficult this journey would end up being.
Trying to build a company and have it succeed is like eating glass and staring into the abyss.
Since Elon still had massive college debt, he was unable to afford both an apartment and an office to work in. So he had to make a decision. He would either have to rent an office or an apartment. And since offices were cheaper than apartments, he decided to live in the office, sleep on a futon, and shower at a local gym.
An office was actually cheaper than an apartment in Silicon Valley. So we got this dinky little office that had a leaky roof. It was just the nastiest place you can imagine.
And you lived in it too?
And I lived in it too and showered at the YMCA.
After a short while of marketing their service to various companies, they began to find some moments of success. As time went on, they started to get attention from larger companies like the New York Times. When finally, after 4 years of building up the company, Zip2 was acquired by Compaq for $305 million, with Elon receiving $22 million from the deal. Not too bad considering that only a few years ago, he was a broke college graduate with no real direction in his life. He was living in an office building and showering in the YMCA. But now, he was a multi-millionaire.
It's 7 o'clock in the morning, and Elon Musk anxiously waits for his golden payoff, his prize for paying his dues in the Valley.
Just 3 years ago, I was showering at the Y and sleeping on the office floor. And now, obviously, I've got a $1 million car and quite a few creature comforts. It's just a moment in my life.
Now, what would any normal person who just made $22 million do? Go relax on some tropical beach, maybe travel the world, or maybe just chill and relax for a few years? Well, Elon decided to do none of these. In fact, he went straight back to work. And after his previous success with his first internet company, Zip2, Elon decided it would be wise to use the experience he had built up over the last 4 years to help start his second internet business.
So this is an ATM. What we're going to do is transform the traditional banking industry.
Talk about setting your sights high. After all, revolutionizing the entire banking industry is not exactly a small task. But that didn't stop Elon from taking on the challenge, which began about 1 month after he sold Zip2. This new company was called X.com, but the name would eventually be changed to the now very popular PayPal. So what was the plan here? Well, the website essentially allowed one person to email money to another person, which was very convenient compared to using traditional cash, because you could send someone money from anywhere at any time. And thanks to all the experience Elon had from building and running Zip2, he was able to make PayPal take off much faster.
We launched after year 1, and by the end of year 2, we had 1 million customers. So it gives you an example, it gives you a sense for how fast things grow in that scenario.
Now, while you could chalk this massive success up to a little bit of experience and a little bit of luck, there was one secret strategy in particular that Elon used to make this company become an overnight success.
One customer would essentially act as a salesperson for you for bringing in other customers. So they would send money to a friend and essentially recruit that friend into the network. And so you had this exponential growth. The more customers you had, the faster it grew.
So to put it simply, when one person created a PayPal account, in order for them to send money to someone else, the other person would also have to have a PayPal account. This meant that each user of PayPal would essentially act as a recruitment agent for new users, getting all of their friends and family to create an account and start using PayPal. This strategy helped the company spread at a speed that was virtually unheard of. So it seemed like Elon had done it again. A second massive success, and in such a short amount of time. The prodigy child really did seem to be living up to every expectation. However, like every story, good things don't last forever, as was the case for Elon in the year 2000. You see, Elon had gotten married earlier in the year, but due to him being totally consumed by work, he hadn't yet taken a break or even had a honeymoon. So, he decided to take a short vacation with his wife, which ended up being a decision that he would deeply regret.
He went on an investment raising trip, and when he got back, what happened?
I'd gotten married earlier that year and not had any vacation or honeymoon or anything, so it was kind of a combined financing trip / honeymoon.
Yeah.
And and anyway, we were away for 2 weeks, and there was just so much. There was just a lot of worry, and that caused the management team to decide that I wasn't the right guy to run the company.
Once Elon had returned from his holiday, he quickly found out that his position as CEO had been revoked, and he had been replaced. Yes, the company that Elon founded had just stabbed him in the back for taking a short vacation with his wife. But even though it must have been heartbreaking to have been fired as CEO, Elon still maintained his shares in the company. Then, by the year 2002, only 3 years after PayPal's creation, the company would be acquired by eBay for a staggering $1.5 billion, to which Elon managed to take home a cool $165 million. Not too bad for a few years of work. But in true Elon Musk fashion, right after selling PayPal, he had his sights set ahead on the next business, which would without question be the most difficult and challenging test yet.
Achieve here is to make Mars seem possible, make it seem as though it's something that we can do in our lifetimes, and that you can go. And is there really a way that anyone could go if they wanted to? I think that's really the important thing.
Elon's plan was to expand the light of human consciousness beyond Earth to, quote, make people excited about the future. But we'll get back to SpaceX later, because in the year 2004, Elon decided that he didn't have enough on his plate, so he became involved in a fairly small but ambitious electric car company. The name of this company was Tesla Motors, which has massive popularity in the present day, making some of the fastest, sleek, and technologically advanced cars in the world. But to get here, Tesla would have to go through the depths of hell and back. Now, a common misconception people make is that Elon Musk was the original founder of Tesla, which actually isn't true. The company was founded by two guys named Martin and Mark in 2003. Then Elon came in around 8 months after as a massive investor, giving roughly $6.5 million of his own money, which secured him as the largest investor in Tesla. This naturally led him to being appointed as the chairman of the company. Over the next few years, Elon and the Tesla team worked on developing their very first car, the Tesla Roadster, which was marketed as the first ever electric sports car. By the year 2008, the car was released to the public, but unfortunately for Elon, this would turn out to be quite possibly the hardest year of his life.
2008 is not a good time to be a car company, especially a startup car company, and especially an electric car company. That was like stupidity squared.
The global financial crisis that occurred in 2008 made it nearly impossible for Tesla to raise money. At such a pivotal time in the company's development, this made the situation even worse for Elon. But the problems didn't end there. While Tesla was on the verge of collapse, another company of Elon's that we briefly mentioned earlier, SpaceX, was also on its last legs after its first 3 rocket launch tests ended in failure. At this point, Elon was appointed as the CEO of Tesla as a sort of last-ditch effort to try to save the company. It was a great decision for the business, but for Elon, it was insanely difficult as he had to assume even more responsibility and stress. As the now CEO of Tesla, he felt that the fate of the company rested entirely on his shoulders. And to make matters worse, Elon and his wife Justine had just gotten divorced earlier in the year, which could have only added an extra layer of emotional stress. However, despite his best efforts to save Tesla and SpaceX, Elon was faced with a brutal decision that was about to quite literally change the course of history.
Like one of the most difficult choices I have ever faced in life was in 2008. I had 2 choices. I could put it all into one company, and then the other company would definitely die, or split it between the 2 companies. But if I split it between the 2 companies, then both might die.
Elon was almost out of money and he had to make a choice. He could either save Tesla or SpaceX and let the other one die, or he could try to save both companies and potentially lose everything.
And so it's like, which one am I going to let one starve to death? I couldn't bring myself to do it, so I split the money between the two. Fortunately, thank goodness, they both came through.
Thankfully, in the end, both Tesla and SpaceX managed to pull through. SpaceX finally had its first flight and landing, which proved its viability. This led to NASA awarding SpaceX with $1.6 billion to continue developing the rocket. On the other hand, Tesla managed to scrape together some last-minute funding to avert the crisis. And business wasn't the only thing that was looking up, because Elon ended up getting engaged to British actor Tallulah Riley after only dating for 10 days. And so in recent years, Elon has spent most of his time on SpaceX, or more specifically, the Starship rocket, which will be the first fully and rapidly reusable rocket to ever exist. SpaceX has plans to send the first unmanned fleet of Starships to Mars in the year 2026, with the goal of delivering supplies necessary for eventual habitats to be built. From a bullied kid who was made to feel like an outcast, to now being the richest man in the world, Elon really has done it all, and hopefully, you can take some inspiration and motivation from his struggles and successes. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing as it's free and you can always change your mind later. Thanks for watching.